Welcome to the Revenue Blueprint. This is not another sales podcast on tips and tactics. Instead, we focus on unfiltered stories from founders and early stage sales leaders on what it takes to build a successful revenue team. If you get just a little bit of value from this, we ask that you pay it forward by liking, sharing, and subscribing to the podcast. All right, let's get into the episode. You were just buttoning up your shirt there just to make sure you felt presentable, but I think that triggered some memories for you.
It did. Well, as you can see, I'm in a new home. I've just moved, so I'm settling in. My first sales manager, or VP of sales, I think it was my boss's boss, so he wasn't direct manager. He used to rock like a gold chain, bought it buttoned down to his belly button with the chain flopping.
Not many buttons. No.
I was like, if that's what my career ahead looks like this sales rack, it might not be for me. But so it made me think of this. What I wanted to share was I got a LinkedIn request from a gentleman a few months ago. It said, "Hey Seth. We share a lot of mutual connections. Seems like we're both really passionate about sales and sales leadership. And I thought, LinkedIn would be a good place to connect. One of those messages, it's like tailored, but rather generic, but like, okay, yeah, like whatever." I reply back, "You were my boss at my first job." Clearly I made a very strong impression. You don't even fucking remember me. Like, what? I can't. It blew my mind. Like, of all the people I've managed, like, I think about many of them all the time. There's nobody that I'd be like, do you work for me? I don't remember. That was 10 years. That was a long time ago. Oh, man, it made me laugh so hard. I think he felt like such a bozo, so I feel kind of bad sharing this. I won't share any of the names.
Did he respond to you?
Yeah, some, half-assed, I guess I'm getting old or something. I was just like, okay. He didn't manage thousands of people. I mean, maybe, these are small companies, that small... They weren't even they were startups, I guess, but they were like small tech companies that didn't really grow. So it was only like thousands of people. It was a while ago, but it was also just like, come on, dude.
That's a little inexcusable.
It was funny. So it provided some good laughs.
Yeah, for sure. Well, welcome back to another episode of Revenue Blueprint. It is just you and I here today, but the one other topic besides our bosses forgetting who we are that we thought would be worth talking about. And that was what a good versus bad discovery call looks like. I think you've had a couple of hot and cold, like a contrast to this recently. So let me just hand the mic to you because you are the maestro here.
Yeah. So it's kind of under the philosophy of the pursuit of excellence. And I know it's a silly term. I actually like it a lot, is the journey is the destination, right? And so if you're trying to be an excellent salesperson or any leader or any role you're really doing, the outcome might not always be excellent. In sales, often it's not. We lose most of the deals. The beginning of the month, we're 0% to our quota. So you're starting at 0. You have no successes yet for that month. But I see the most successful people are pursuing excellence all the time and trying to make sure that they're honing their craft, they're refining their craft. And so this came about is because I ran what I believe to be a perfect discovery call. And usually that means me not talking until the end. And what I believe, perfect is a tough word, but a good discovery, a solid discovery, is really vetting out all of the list of things that could be valuable about your offering. So uncovering the pains, uncovering the value, and really understanding whether if you are going to continue conversation, right? What you're going to talk about is simply put. Because I've seen some reps, the best ones, will go through a bit of a discovery, uncover nothing, and say, it doesn't sound like we have anything else to talk about. I'm not going to just show you buttons in a demo to see maybe anything sticks. It sounds like none of this is relevant. And I love that, to be able to be that disturbed. So I think what makes a good discovery is getting through that, or much of it. I think what makes a great discovery is really exhausting all of it. And so what I was, I guess, proud of myself, that's weird to say, but I was proud of myself, is that there was a few things that the folks I was talking to about my advisory services, they're like crumbs, right? They left them out. It was, or they told me some pain or some things that I was just like, I wanted to bite on that and just start going after that pain and how to solve it. But I was like, noted, let's continue. And I felt like I really exhausted all of the things so that when I talked about what I could do for them, I could address each of those things and how I would do it. And one, keeping my mouth shut, continuing to ask those questions and not biting on the first one that I'm like, ooh, I've sold my services on that alone before. Let me go all in. Really getting through all of it and then addressing all of the different pieces and leaving enough time to talk about how we do an engagement and answering their questions. And like the timing was good. And, we got through all of the pieces with most of it being me not talking, but them talking and me uncovering why they thought they needed help.
Right. And I think, to your point, in any good discovery call, they're going to be revealing a lot. And I found myself, I had a discovery call today, and it was similar in a sense that I was gathering information, and I almost caught myself selling against one of their main pain points. But I said for a second, I said, hey, we'll come back to that first. Come back to that in a second. But first, you mentioned this other thing. Let's talk about that as well. And what we're able to do is we actually uncovered like 3 different things they need. And we also uncovered the other vendor they used in the past and why it didn't go so well. And then...
Right, you would have missed all that.
Exactly. And what it allowed me to do was reprioritize how I was going to close the conversation, because I realized like, hey, you have these 3 main pain points, but 2 and 3 actually don't matter to you guys right now. It's not the priority. You want to solve them, but not right now. So let's just talk about the thing that you want to solve right now and how we can solve that and how our solution is different than the vendor you used in the past. In this case, even more expensive. But it was only because we made sure to go through everything and like keep pulling at those pain points a bit more that I felt really confident at the end that, okay, I answered the full complement of this guy's questions. I only focus on things that were most important to him.
Okay. And you might win that deal, you might not, but you did it well. And that should give you some peace that like, job well done today. You're not going to get your answer today, probably. So at least you can end the day knowing like, I ran that discovery really well. In that case, I ran that discovery really well. They decided to use an advisor that was located in the same city. And for whatever reason, they chose them. And yeah, I'm competitive. I should never lose. But I'm comfortable with it knowing I did a good job. Now, earlier today, I did a discovery. And, I think what's challenging too is that a lot of my partnerships and collaborations come through investors that recommend me, and the company is looking for somebody, and it's almost like an intro call to kick things off, not a discovery. But then I have to be discerning because a lot of people want to talk to me and then select a partner or choose to do nothing. So it's like I'm trying to get the context of this all the time, and it gets a little confusing. But in this case, I bid on the first one and spent the rest of the time talking about it. And I don't know if there was more, would you say, the string to pull, more meat on the bone. And I don't think that was a good discovery, because I just don't know if it was a good discovery, because I don't know it all. And had I been asking more questions or stuck with it longer, I could have uncovered other potential things that may have been more important. Now, I believe this was the most important thing, because I think pipeline creation, if you don't have it, you don't have a business. But I could have gotten more context around it, what they're thinking.
Yeah. And I think that is what I find to be one of the most important principles to remember in a discovery call is you can ask questions forever and you can never talk. But that's not really the goal, right? The goal for me is to figure out, hey, what are the most pressing issues for you guys? And let's prioritize them in this call. And then I'll let you know if I think we can solve them. And that's how I'm going to try to close you. But if I don't think I can solve your most important things right now, probably not going to be a good fit and it'll be a waste of time for both of us. But if I don't find out everything that is a priority, then we're never going to figure out if I have the solution for your most important thing.
And this is how I structure kind of sales cycles in the process. People talk about it's always complicated. Like it's so often overcomplicated. I think about it as the company is in existence to solve some pain, provide some value, usually some sort of mix of both. That's why they exist. That's why people give them money. Does everybody know that? Because many times people don't. Because I believe that that's kind of the middle of a sales cycle. And before that, it is a discovery to uncover whether any of those things are needed by the person you're talking to. Because if they're not, showing them buttons later in a demo doesn't do anything. And then if you're going to show buttons in a demo, just show the buttons, right? Demonstrate the buttons that matter to show them, to say, it sounds like these 3 things are really important to you. Okay, let me show you how we do that. The first one we do like this. Does that solve your problem? Yes. Do you see how it works? Great. It's like only demo with intent. Now I know we're veering off a little bit, but it links to the discovery, link to the existence of the company, links to why the buttons are there to do the existence of the company, which should be, and you can validate at each step. Like you said this, right? Yeah. Okay. This is important. If we solve that, this is a good fit. Great. Let me show you how we solve it. Does that solve it? Yes. Great. Like now will you give me money for those buttons that do that? But many companies start showing the only buttons that are there because that's the only value they provide, and it works because the people are there for that value. But as the product grows, product tells the announcers to the company that they rolled out a new feature. Everybody celebrates with confetti and fireworks, and then every sales rep is excited because it's going to help them sell, and it will when it matters. But these demos are like an hour and a half long because they're showing everything they've ever built. And I'm like, after an hour and 10 minutes, do you start to lose them on buttons they don't care about? Like, it sounds obvious, but very common.
Yeah, it is very common. I went through I was looking for a new payroll provider recently for international payments and stuff. And I spoke to 4 different companies. 3 were traditional salespeople. 1 was founder-led. And it was very evident who was the best salesperson there versus who was not. Because the best salesperson, he went through that full discovery, figured out what was most important to me. And then I don't even think he actually showed me the demo. He showed me like 2 or 3 screenshots of the things that were most important to me. Or like he did show me demo, like 2 or 3 most important buttons for me to push to be able to, for my use case. Whereas another person from a direct competitor to these guys that may even have a bigger sales team, with sales leaders, I will say that I respect very much so, that I know at like their upper levels. He hit me with a prepared deck that he's like, I know we already covered this, but let me just go through it. I was like, dude,
slide 78 didn't tickle your fancy. And then the other thing is, if you show the whole demo, you're diluting the valuable stuff. So you forget about the important thing. And not only that, only 10% of this whole product of everything you showed me is the valuable part. Can I get 90% off? Because like, I'm not going to use 90% of it because I don't even want those buttons. I'm recovering. We need to make a term. I don't know. Co-op recovering, but all the buttons demo guy myself. Feature. Yeah, no, but I did it early on in my career. And I look back on it, I'm like, how many people are just like bored out of their mind? I remember getting into arguments about features that they didn't care about, of how we approached doing them. And then we spent the whole time arguing about our approach versus the right approach and I shouldn't have even been showing that piece.
Right. They only want to give their energy to the things that matter to them. And you should only want to give your energy to the things that matter to them because that's what matters to you. And it's so evident when you are like trying to go through that full feature set or like do the full demo and you're just talking into the void. because they're not engaging. They're not, whether it's a video call or whatever, like,
Are you still there? They're like, yeah, dude, I'm just not paying attention.
and I think there's maybe one good piece to end on with you talking about like diluting the value. So there actually is, I used to coach reps on this all the time. The human mind actually attaches assigns a value to something based on the average of the data points that it has to make that decision, right? So if you have a product that has 10 features and I need 2 of them, if you spend time showing me all 10 and the first 8 are not very valuable to me, but the 2 are really valuable, I'm going to average all that together in my brain. It's like, okay, like that was the value of the product to me.
I didn't know that. I love the science behind this theory.
Right. But if you only show me the things that are most important to me, I'm going to leave our demo with a much higher impression of the value of your product, because those are things on average were really valuable to me.
And how do you get to the things that are valuable? A good discovery call.
When you think you've got everything, you make sure to ask them, hey, is anything else bothering you? Any other pain points or bottlenecks that you want me to know about? And we can prioritize from there.
I wish we had recorded this yesterday. It would have made my discoveries today better. Hey, it's a work in progress. We're all trying to improve.
So it goes. But there was like a nice little field test, something that you and I are both going through ourselves that hopefully some people can learn from.